Hi! In this video demonstration, we're going to take a look at a method of creating conveyor belts or tank treads or uh, bike chains or any number of things that need to kind of travel around in a specific path and bend to fit that shape. Anything machinery-wise might be beneficial for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of create a tank tread or a conveyor belt or something along those lines. In order to do that, we need both a shape that will deform to the shape of a path, as well as a spline that's going to be our path. So in order to do this, let's create ourselves a simple, we're going to go to our Create tab, down to the geometry. Let's go over one more to the shapes, where we have all of our splines. And then we're going to go ahead and draw the path that our conveyor belt or tank tread is going to take. So we're going to try and make kind of an elliptical conveyor belt idea here. I'm just going to use the line button. Now, drawing with the line tool is a little tricky when you first get going. I want to notice that once I click it and turn it on, our settings show up down here where we have the initial type and the drag type. I have my initial type set to corner for default and my drag type set to Bezier, which would be a curve. This means that initially when I click, it's going to create a point. That point will be a corner. So if I click and let go, click and let go, click and let go, I have sharp angles where my lines are all connected, or my segments of my spline. If I start and click and then hold down that mouse button and drag, I'm going to get the line that is a curved shape instead of a corner. Then again, of course, if I go ahead and click and let go immediately, I will get a sharp corner. Click and drag to get a curved corner. Click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, and we can do all the curving we want. So practice playing around with the line tool with our splines in order to get the best shape. We can also do some other things like attaching some splines, but we're going to do something fairly simple here, and we're going to create the shape. I'm going to start with a click and kind of bring it out to here. I'm going to click again, click again, click again, click again, and what I've done is get a rectangle. Now you might be saying, Clint, what the heck are you doing? There's a rectangle shape right next to it. And I just wanted to show you how to use the line tool, but we can also go ahead and take this, click and drag out a rectangular shape to get this done as well. The only difference here is that if you use the rectangle shape and then go over to your Modify tab, you've got only a few settings, as in length, width, and maybe corner radius. Now that's all we're going to need for today, but I want to show you how this works. So we can also right-click on this guy to open up our quad menu, and once again down to our Convert To, we have some choices. Editable Poly, which is going to turn this thing into a polygon, or editable spline, which turns it into something that we might have created with the line tool and allows us to move in or adjust some Bezier handles here. And you can create any number of odd shapes for, let's say, your conveyor belt or your bike chain or whatever you want this shape to be in the end. I'm going to go with something simple. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this, go back to my Create tab, and I'm going to go ahead and create that rectangle. To start simply, I'm just going to make myself quite a long rectangle there and go over to my Modify tab. I'll say that the length should be 60 and the width can be 180. Long and squared. We've also got this setting, which is our corner radius. This one is, do you want your corners to be rounded or pointed? 0 is pointed. Anything higher is going to be rounder and rounder and rounder. If I go too far, you'll notice that the edges of the ends of my rectangle overlap, and that's messy. So we don't want to go too far, just far enough. I would say a corner radius of 25 gives us a nice rounded shape. This looks like something that a conveyor belt can go around without too much trouble. Now we need a model that's going to attach to this line and then go around, move around. We can do something as simple as come over to our Create tab again, go back to our geometry, and just get a box. I'm going to create my box here in the left viewport, which is the direction that this is kind of pointing to. If I turn my rotation here, you can notice that it's pointing at the left to right, so the y-axis or the x-axis there. I'm going to create a thin box and then make it stretch really long. Almost looks like a diving board, right? And I can move it into shape there. Now, if I try to attach this guy to bend around this line right now, nothing's going to happen. The reason being because this is a rigid shape that has nothing that says you've got an area to bend. No flexibility, no joints to it. What we need to do in order to give it an area for it to bend in would be to add some segments on this guy. We don't want segments in the length, we don't want segments in the width, but we want lots of them in the height, which we just created for the long. Now, if you created your box in a different viewport, know that you might need to add lengths in the width or the length segments rather than the height, because you've created it in a different direction. If you did create it in the left viewport, height is what we're going to look at. Let's just go ahead and round that number off to 30. Okay? On top of this, now that we've got our box with some segments that it's going to allow it to bend, we're going to add a modifier. This modifier is going to be a path deform. All the way down in our list, we've got, be careful, because one of them says patch deform. We don't want that one. We want the path deform. And add that to it. There's two path deform. I'm going to go ahead and hit the trash can button to remove this modifier and show you the other one. We've also got one under our world space modifiers. And this one says path, again, it's right underneath that tricky one that says patch. So be careful you don't get the one with the C in it. Choose path deform, and this one says WSM, which is a little bit different. If you choose that one, you've got one more setting that is a little bit nicer. Know that both of them, however, will work for what we're about to do. I'm going to stick with the world space modifier path deform here. Oops, don't want two of them. The first thing you're going to notice is a big button that says pick path. So I'm going to turn that on and then click the spline that I created. My box is going to kind of move a little odd to where that line is. Then we have some other options here. I'm going to drop down, and down here we've got the path deform axis. Right now it's doing along the z-axis, which isn't going to help us very much. More likely, going back and forth, the x-axis is what we're going to be looking for here. Something strange has happened. We've got some very big pulls or something here, and I'm not sure what's going on there. Sometimes that gets fixed by just hitting the Move to Path button. If it doesn't do what you were asking it to do, try moving or changing these axes around a little bit. Honestly, X has now become unusable, Y is also unusable, but Z gives us something a little bit more like we want. We want it to follow this path, right? It's just put it up and down rather than side to side. We can change that by changing the rotation. If you remember simple geometry class there, if I put in a 90 degrees for the rotation, it should change the orientation from up 90 degrees the other direction to flat. Now, I clearly didn't make my model big enough to meet the end here. There are a couple of ways that we can fix that. The first of which is just to stretch it out with that stretch value. If you don't want to stretch your model out, you want it to maintain proportion, you can always come back down in your list to the box and give it a little bit more height until you're satisfied. If you think it's too boxy, add some more segments until it gets smooth. Okay? Then back up to our path deform. Click down to the box, click back to the path deform, and all we've got now to do is animate this guy. I'm going to animate it by turning on my auto key. Let's say we go to frame 100 and percentage along line, let's move that to 100% from 0. The animation plays moving the start of this thing from 0 to 100. You might notice we've got kind of a hiccup, it looks like, as it's spinning around here. I'm going to turn my auto key off, and we might be able to fix that by playing a little bit with our twist or our rotation. We'll leave that to you. This is a big solid shape, so sometimes you can run into some issues with that as well. I'm going to go ahead and select the box and delete that guy. I'm going to keep the path while we do this next bit. You can also create, I told you, tank treads, which animates a little bit better because there are some segments that you get to see moving around. I want to show you how to do that real quick. I'm going to use that line tool again. This time in my top viewport. I can Alt-W to make that top viewport a little bit bigger for me. And I'm going to draw a specific shape. I'm going to try and use my grid here to do that. You can click, start a line. Know that if you hold down Shift on your keyboard, that line should straighten out for you. Let's go with maybe 2 boxes there. Click again, hold down Shift, come in, maybe a box here. Click again, maybe a half a box, go up, over, down, over, until we have a shape. Once I reach the end, the dialog is going to show up, says, do you want to close the spline? Say yes. If I Alt-W again, I can shrink that and see all of my viewports clearly once more. And now I've got this strange shape that looks like a box with a tab on top of it, right? If I go to my Modify tab and add that Extrude modifier, and maybe give it just a little bit of extrusion, looks like 2 works pretty well, I have a model. We can convert this to a polygon model or an editable poly by right-clicking on it, bringing up that quad menu, Convert to, and choose Editable Poly. Now I can duplicate this shape, only keep it inside the actual object. Right now it says line 1. I can rename that. Let's call it Tank Tread. What I want to do is select our final sub-object here, the element, which when I click is going to select everything that's kind of all connected here. I realize I drew my shape wrong. I didn't put an insert. I got the tab A, but no insert to tab B, but that's okay. We'll get this done anyway the same direction. And now all I have to do is hold down Shift and drag and create, let's say, a secondary shape. Tell it to clone to element, that's fine, and now you've got 2. Select both of them, hold down Shift, do it again, clone to element, now you get 4. See where I'm going? Now we can just kind of continue to do this a little ways. There's also another way we can do it. Let me go ahead and delete this, and that'll give me the option to fix my mistake there that I just did. And let's redraw something. Let's kind of start here again. Let's go up to 2 on the grid, 1 over, half up, half over, down, over, down. Only this time instead, let's stop partway through like we did the first time. Click it again and let's go inside the shape, halfway of a grid, and let's create something that looks a little bit more like that. Once again, if I kind of come up here to my Modify tab, we can add a modifier to the list, the Extrude modifier. It should save the last one I did, so 2 is fine. And rather than converting this to an editable poly right off the bat, we can actually do some other cloning. Again, with the Move tool, that's this guy up here at the top on our main ribbon, hold down Shift and drag in a direction. Let's drag to about there, so it looks like tab A does insert to slot B. This time a clone option will show up here. We want to make copies, not instances or references, and we can tell it how many copies. Let's go with our original is 1. Let's add 9. That way we have 10 total, and say OK. Hopefully that'll be enough. If not, we can always add some more next time. Now we've got 10 individual shapes. Okay, so that's going to be a problem when we want to attach them all to a single line. What I can do is take the front runner, the very big front one or the very, very back one, it doesn't really matter which way, right-click, convert it to an editable poly. Inside editable poly settings, we have this attach button under the edit geometry rollout. You can click attach to click, 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 and now they're all separate elements of the same object. See, if I go to the element selection, we can select each individual one, or just the polygons, or just a vertex, etc. And we can go ahead and modify from there in the future. Right now, I'm just going to remember to turn off my sub-object by clicking it again. And now we can attach this to our spline as far as the path deform is concerned. So now we've got this strange object. Again, we should rename it tank tread by just erasing what was there at the top and putting in what we want. And then from the modifier list, we're going to select the world space modifier again, path deform, not patch. We're going to pick the path. It's going to mess up our model, or it looks like something scary happens to it at least. I'm going to go ahead and click the move to path right away, which is going to show me something strange. And then I'm going to go and choose these until it looks at least somewhat correct. Looks like x-axis is going to work for us on this one. Take that rotation. I'm going to pop in 90 again to flatten our guy out. It looks like it just really wants to cross on there. That shape we did originally might have been a bad idea. Maybe I should have used the line tool or a circle tool or something like that. But we can also stretch this guy out to meet until it looks like our tank tread is correct. Then animate the percentage line, and we have a tank tread. Looks like it's actually working pretty good. We get this crossover here, and I'm not sure how to fix that. We'd have to play with it a little bit more. Looks like it wants to flip, and I'm assuming that's because of our rectangle there. If I got rid of our rectangle, our tank tread would flatten out again, and I could actually draw. Let's do an ellipse this time and see if that does us a better job. It's a little bit rounder, but if it does a better job, we can deal with that, right? Then go back to here, back to our modify tab. Let's pick the different path and see if that works a little bit better. Our stretch is a little too high. Let's back that off till those two just look like they're connecting. 1.52 or 3 might work the best. And then let's try changing the wheel on our percentage. That looks a lot nicer. For our rectangle was messing us up a little bit. So play around, experiment with these tools, and decide what else you can come up with. Chain links work really good on this, or anything that you want to kind of hang in a line and follow a path. All right?